This is Mugdha.
Hello, I am Avinash.
And today both of us are here together on our podcast called Embracing the Human Experience, where we talk about everything that is there to do with the human experience. This is episode number 12.
Yes.
And we are continuing what we started off last week, where we're speaking about the different areas that you could master in life and that would create more flow for you. So
it's keys that we were talking about.
Yeah, we were talking about
the keys to navigate on this planet.
Keys to navigate this planet, I think.
So there are a lot of intangible, there are a lot of energy
based concepts.
Yeah. So understanding those are very important in terms of, navigating, as we have already been talking about. Navigating this planet is important from the point of view that you're part of the system. You're part of the entire society, you're part of the human experience that we are having here. And on your own, you will have very limited set of experiences. When you become part of the group or the humanity or the society around you, you will be able to expand your consciousness and have variety of experiences. So that is the whole idea about understanding this concept of keys, which allows you to navigate, communicate and relate to other peoples in your life. So we are going to talk about, a lot of the keys we have noted down. Most of them are like your favorite area.
No. This is what you always say, that this is your area, this is your area, and then you end up speaking for longer than I do on each area.
No, it never happens. That rarely happens.
Anyway, so what are we going to talk about today?
So we will start with the core values. Even I want to understand what core values is all about. Like somebody asked me, what is my core belief or my core value? What are the values?
Beliefs are different.
Yeah. What are the core values that I lead my life on? Like I always say I don't follow any religion. I don't follow any ideology. I don't follow any doctrine. So what is guiding my
I also don't follow any doctors.
Not the doctors, the doctor. Okay. Yeah, even doctors. Like I follow some doctors, but they are like awakened, not woke.
Right.
So I don't follow any doctrine. So what is it that guides my behavior? Because if I am left as a human being in this densest form, if this is left unchecked, there are apprehension by a lot of people around, and lots of philosophers have talked about it. If you're not checked, or if you don't check, or if you don't have a benchmark against which you model your behavior or model your conduct in this world, it can cause harm, it can cause disharmony. So that is what I understand values as, something which I am always benchmarking against myself, my consciousness, what is right, what my consciousness think, what is right for me, or what is in the best interest of my preservation on this planet. That is what I think the values are. What is your take on that core values itself?
Yeah, like what you said, and even that's what I think it is. It's basically a navigational tool. To me, actually, core values are something that, like what you're saying, how do you go around and how do you understand what is inviolable, what is kind of an absolute no-go. So core values are that to me, that this is how I'm navigating in this world based on this particular system. And if this gets broken, I lose my grounding, I lose my sense of stability, I lose sometimes my sense of identity, I lose that basic, so I get very fragmented, right, when a core value is violated. And I didn't even know that there was something called as core values that was very important for us to be able to experience life without dissonance, right? So what I mean by that is, human experience is filled with emotions, different will come and go and all of that, right? Core values help you understand whether whatever is happening in your life is in alignment with who you are, or is something kind of taking you away from who you are. It's, to me, at least, once I've identified what those are for me, they are non-negotiable. If someone goes against my core values, especially the closer they are to me, the closer in my circle they are, if someone goes against my core values, they're out, like they're not going to be in my life anymore, because I can't operate them. So that core value is what really runs my operating system for me. It's like the OS
Yeah, it's
thing.
A sacrosanct thing.
Yeah, it's really sacrosanct for me. And each of us have different ones, right? So I used to think that maybe the core values for all of the human species might be the same, but it's different. Like we work with so many people, right? And I work on this aspect of helping them figure out what their core values are. And I'm surprised, right? Each person has a different core value that is really important for them.
What is the most important core value for you?
For me, I actually have two, and like the primary one is consent. No, the primary one is radical honesty. No, both are equally important, right? Like it's the thing that I balance my existence on. So one is this thing that I call radical honesty. It's part of our company's core values also. For me, I really, I can't lie. I just can't. And when someone lies to me, when someone is dishonest, right, it breaks me down.
Immediately get exposed.
Yeah, they get exposed. That's separate. That's how my reality is. Lies are really not something that kind of can exist in my reality. But it's like that because that's my core value, right? So assuming somebody new comes in or somebody that was there before, but like, you know, their idea of lying and my idea of lying are not the same, and actually a lie gets told, it really breaks me down. The second is consent. So in this, right, the radical honesty thing is also a little bit of expectation from people. The consent value is entirely intrinsic. That is like, my no has to be honored, like nothing can violate my no. And I don't do that to other people also, right? Like I'm a big believer in free will, and the fact that this is and when we speak about natural laws, maybe we'll talk about free will also. But I'm a big believer that this entire universe runs on free will, and consent is like the most powerful tool we have. Like no is a magic word actually. Yeah. The things you say no to are the things that will stay out of your reality. It protects you. It's like if you want you want protection from occult entities, you want protection from ghosts and spirits, you want protection from nasty, toxic people, you want protection from life circumstances, you just have to use the word no for it, and you have to just keep resonating with that. Like this is not allowed, right? What I want is the opposite of this kind of a thing. People who do this law of attraction and all will say that don't speak negative, like don't say I don't want this. I think it's bullshit. If you're not very clear about what you don't want, everything will keep flowing into your life.
Exactly.
So you have to really know what is like your no. At least for me, when I say consent is one of my core values, I'm very clear about what are the things that are a no. And if someone tries to violate my consent physically, so I'll kill them. But even emotionally, like they can't, right? Emotional blackmail and all of that doesn't really work well on me. Both of these core values were important to me as a kid. I didn't know they were my core values. I allowed both of my core values to get violated right until age 38, 39, even later also through my self-exploration journey. It's only like a couple of years ago that I really understood this is what is important to me. But those are my two core values, and couple of days ago actually I was just questioning, right? Like is honesty my core value, or is it like trust? What is it really? What am I looking for? So when I'm saying radical honesty, basically I want to have the security that I can trust someone, right? Like, or I can entrust my space or my consciousness with this person. So
holding my gold.
Yeah, like that's my, like that's how I would part with my inner gold if I perceived a sense of trust. So is it really honesty or is it really trust? Because what I realized in the past 1 year, that the betrayal of that trust, though it was done with a lie, what broke was the trust itself, right? Like that trust is what is taking repair. So maybe it's not even honesty that's my core value. Maybe I was using that as a tool, but maybe my core value is the trust itself. Like trust can't be compromised on. So I'm like in the last 2 days I was contemplating on this when I was taking my walks and all that. And I'm surprised it came up when I'm talking about this, because it was not even fully formed in my head.
Yeah.
But it seems like when trust was broken is when I crashed more than anything else. So I have because that is it. What is your core value?
So my entire existence was based on one single, fundamental thing, that I should be free.
Right.
Not only physically free, but the mentally free. The thought-wise, I should be free. I shouldn't get influenced by any of these thoughts. So I do get influenced by a lot of people who say don't get influenced by anything else. There is an influence also there. But yeah, the freedom is the one thing that has driven me to lead my life, make the choices that I made, Even now when I look at anything which allows me a freedom into certain aspect of my life and restrict my freedom into certain aspect of life, again I am choosing between lesser freedom or a more freedom. In fact, I am using it as a trading tool most of the time, just to get other keys of this planet to navigate. Like I give away my freedom, so of 1 hour. In return, I get money to navigate on this planet. So I am using it more as a practical tool, very practical tool. But fundamentally, it doesn't concern any other human being. It doesn't create disharmony. My freedom is my choices, my existence, my being doesn't create disharmony or anyone's feelings or emotions or whatever. Nowadays, everything gets hurt very easily. You were talking about something like that, outrage brigade.
Yeah, outrage brigade,
sentiments getting hurt. So this is very, very safe, very, very peculiar to me. It's actually about me. I want to be free from most of the things, if possible, even from the the 3D desire or the needs that are required. So even while doing my own mind work and mind experiences, I have realized that even that at consciousness level itself, I am a free being. I don't belong to a place. There is nothing to go back to. I think we have spoken about it in the past. So there is nothing to go back to. I am always on the run, or I am always on the move, whether it is in this form or any other form. So I think my life has always been like that. Some people try to restrict
put you in a box, in a cage.
Yeah, I mean, okay, your freedom is very attractive. I want to have a piece of it, and let me just hold on to you. You're going against the basic idea of my character or my identity. You just want to restrict my identity, and that becomes very ugly. Like
right.
You're looking at a say peacock, and you take out all their feathers. The peacock is ugly. Right? No one wants to have that peacock. So if someone wants to literally have a sense of me, how I be or how I become when I'm totally free, that is the most attractive part of me. The moment someone wants to hold on to it or restrict it, it becomes a very ugly piece of me. So somewhere that has ingrained in my psyche, mind, at consciousness level. Freedom is one thing that you are born with. Freedom is one thing that you will die with. So all my choices are led by that. So how do we? I mean, there are so many thought has gone into it. We have had our own life experiences. We started realizing our true fundamental purpose on this planet at the age of 40. Till 40, we were not even aware what we are supposed to do, like 38, 39, 40. How do people find out? How do other human beings find out what exactly is their core value?
So how I do this work with clients, right? Like I coach them, because most people don't even know that there's something called core values, which is going to help you navigate this world, like the non-negotiables of your life. So I take them through a process, and basically when I do it one-on-one, it's much longer conversations. But the fundamental tenet of it is, remember who you were as a child. Remember the stories that were told about you, that are told to you, that you recollect. And think of the things that, absolutely, like you would have thrown tantrums about. Like these are not things that you wanted a new doll or a new car, right? But something that really deeply wounded you as a child. And all of us often hold memories of that, right? Now, one is as a child, then growing up with your friends, through college, through your first relationships with your parents, at your workplace, wherever, right? There would have been certain moments or certain situations where absolute heartbreak happened. Like real, like absolute sadness and grief, and like just you felt like you didn't want to exist anymore, right? Those moments, those situations will start pointing you towards what really is important for you, right?
True.
And then through conversations, when you actually start extracting what is really important, people suddenly say, okay, this, like one of our clients, for example, she told me that being respected is one of her core, like she cannot tolerate being disrespected for who she is, right? Like being either made to feel small or she's not worthy or whatever. So being respected in conversations and relationships is like really important for her. Another person told me that for him it was like his time is honored. Like people show up for him and he shows up for people at the agreed moment. So like not showing up, just disregarding somebody's attempt to be there, right? Like that disrespect of time is something that he can't tolerate. He just can't. It kind of just breaks him down, right? So different people have different ways, but basically it's like a sense of, for you to be able to do your things without crashing, what is it that is really important for you, right? So it's really that. And only you know your core values. Like if I come and tell you, hey Avinash, this is your core value, you should run away as far as you can from me.
Yeah.
Because it's your operating system, it's you, it's your design. No one outside you will know what that is. Someone can be a mirror, keep showing you reflections, keep asking you the right questions, but only you will have the answer to what is your core value.
So, I mean, it's once you understand what is your core value, it is very easy to navigate in this.
Very easy. It's
then you know
decision
what
making.
you don't want. That has to be very clear.
Decision making becomes simplified. Relationships, like like you said, you use your freedom to navigate around. Like even for like you would transact with your core value, right? For things like money and all. For me, my core values are basically determining what kind of relationships I'm going to have. Because relationships are what is creating everything for me on this planet. Everything, right? Like even money would come if there was a significant trust between the two points of exchange. Work, co-creation, all of this is based on relationships, right? Now, how do I navigate relationships is with this core value, right? Like,
so we'll talk more about this when we are going to do the expanded podcast on each of these keys that we are talking about. Let's move on to the next one. Like again, it's your favorite. Like.
Which one? Like you say everything's...
We're talking about the natural laws. And, and I heard so much about it from all the awakened people around me. And I'm still trying to make sense of it. But I have some basic idea. But I would like to have your views or your idea of what natural laws are all about and what is their purpose fundamentally.
See, natural law basically, like the concept, like what is natural law? It's basically that there are universal laws that are governing the not the behavior, but like how consciousness should operate beyond man-made laws. This is not made by some Supreme Court. This is not made by like US courts, Indian courts.
It has
not
always
like
been existence. Right?
These are natural laws that are universal, that are applicable to all. Let's say like we just take human behavior, right? Like even actually everything that is there on this planet. But these are laws that are applicable universally. And we will actually do a more detailed podcast on this because this one gets a little technical also. It's not like very it's not based on my subjective experience. It's not based on your subjective experience, like core values and time. It's all like a little more subjective, right? But natural laws are actually far more objective, and they actually are the guiding tenet for morality also. So if you really want to understand what it means to be a sovereign, free human being, you have to understand what natural law is. You can't expect to be sovereign and free unless you understand natural law, right? So it goes beyond man-made law, and it would be, it's not subjective, it's not based on one person's experience. Universally applicable, right? So what are these, how to define? So if someone wants to because we'll take time until we get to this, right? If someone wants to really go deep into this, Mark Passio has a 8-hour seminar on natural law, like 8 hours dedicated to a deeper understanding of natural law. In fact, I understood natural law much better after I watched that seminar. Johan had sent it to me at the beginning of the lockdowns. I intrinsically knew what these laws were, but to verbalize it, to put it like the way he's really done it brilliantly. So it's an understanding of how we should behave, what is right, what is wrong.
Is it only about the humans or it is about the celestial bodies?
It is for consciousness itself to operate, right? So it's not just, but like humans are the ones who go looking for laws. Like animals don't have courts. Yeah. Kangaroo court also is a word used for human beings. Kangaroos don't really have court.
Kangaroos don't have a court. Why do they call it?
So
it's very interesting.
Yeah.
How did it come about?
So but like see, animals are naturally guided by natural law, like physical territories, for example. Animals don't attack unnecessarily based on religion or something like that, right? They would either do that for self-defense or they would do that for survival, which is hunting. So like that. So the natural world, which is the animal world, the plant world, all of these, they already exist in natural law. Humans are the only ones who went and said, oh, we'll create our own version of law, which creates profits and benefits for a small section of society. So human law actually comes from the elitist, right? It's a abomination. It's a deviation of natural law. It's just that humans are very naive and are so easily programmable, so it becomes easy to kind of put a veil of these laws that don't exist actually in nature. The animal kingdom is already following natural
it's
law,
all
right?
about like possessing. How can you possess something?
Yeah,
How can you possess a piece of land or a tree or a house or whatever for that matter? Any material thing which is it's everyone's property or it's no one's property.
So natural law is that it gives us basic philosophy of governing our own behavior, interacting with each other, right? What is okay, what is not okay.
So what I've realized now, as you put on more and more identity on your consciousness, so you go away from those natural laws and you start following. Like you are a male, then you have certain set of laws. Then you become Hindu, the other set of laws. You become graduate, other set of laws. You start working, another set of laws. You are an Indian, another set of laws. You are a Pakistani, another set of laws. So these are set
You're
of
unvaccinated,
laws.
Another set of
Another
laws.
set of laws. You're vaccinated, partially vaccinated, boosted. So there are so many set of laws which is it is actually adding to your identity and making your identity more and more concrete for you to for your consciousness to come out of it and experience the natural law itself. Like it is not being governed by natural law at the consciousness level. So you're only thinking about your body, you're thinking about only one aspect of your being. So as you move away from your
soul itself,
being dictated by or being governed by natural laws, you will fall prey to all these man-made law, as you said, by the elitist cabal who are profiteering out of it.
So why did I put this in as one of the keys for us to really flow well, right? Is the more you start aligning yourself with natural law, the smoother your life becomes. Like core values help you navigate the world, navigate relationships. That's why they're really important to kind of establish at the beginning. Natural law is part of this discussion because if you don't understand natural law, you'll always look at somebody else to tell you what to do and what not to do. The minute you start allowing that to happen, your flow of life gets restricted because it's going to go by somebody else's words. Versus understanding natural law and using that to do your decision making, you will actually flow so much smoother in this river called life. Yeah. So that's why it's important, and I think we'll do an entire episode again on that.
Yes, because learning about this, even it is going to be a exercise for me. Again, I will have to expand my brain capacity. I want to shrink it.
Why would you want to shrink your brain?
I don't know. I just I'm able to navigate in this world. It's fine. No. You still need to expand.
Always.
Oh, great.
I think we've not spoken about boundaries. Why boundaries are really important. Again, for having a good flow through life.
So these are all boundaries means to govern. I mean to protect your core beliefs or core values.
It's self-protective and also like I don't really think there are boundaries just for core values, right? Because there are also boundaries for how you will use your money. There are boundaries for how you're going to use your time. There are boundaries for how you're going to really like natural law. When you understand it, you'll understand what your actual boundaries are with other people also, right? So boundaries are really they extend into every key that we've spoken, right? Because if you didn't have boundaries around money, that has nothing to do with core values. You might trust, like my boundaries is like my core values are that I trust someone and I consent. So I'll say yes to someone that I love a lot and I trust a lot, and then there'll be no boundary on the flow of money that might go to this person, right? So core values are one thing, but boundaries actually extend into every other key of life that we've discussed, right? But what do boundaries mean for you?
I mean, I have always seen boundaries as something which protects me. I am very selfish in that matter. I don't know. Nowadays I started calling it self-love or self-care. But I am always, it's like, those animals who create boundaries like
Territorial, they
territorial.
pee and they mark.
pee and they mark their area. Okay, this is the area. You can do whatever you want beyond that area. Inside this area, my laws applies. Like
Right.
whether they are in line with natural laws or not, I don't know.
Huh.
But this is where the my laws applies. I think at a national level also it is being done in the same way. India says, okay, this is our territory and this is another country's territory. But at personal level, whatever is going to hurt me in a way, and again, these boundaries are drawn based on my experiences. Okay, a child learns, right? It starts crawling and it puts its finger into the flame, and then you understand, okay, I shouldn't be doing that.
Right.
So it start putting that boundary from that moment on. Like, if I jump from here, I am likely to get hurt. So I'm not going to jump from there. So I put another boundary. So most of the time, boundaries are required in terms of, as you said, the resources that we, create for ourselves or that we gather for ourselves. Boundaries are needed in terms of the relationship that we have. Because as you rightly said, the closer the person are, the more is the probability of getting hurt. So understanding where to put that boundary, because even putting boundary in terms of the closest person is a challenge.
Yeah.
Because you think, okay, how can I put boundary with this person I love or I married or I am in a relationship with? So understanding where to put those boundaries, understanding how to protect yourself, and understanding fundamentally what are you trying to protect? I mean, what is it that you want to protect about yourself? Is it your identity? Is it your the values? Is it your resources? And then putting those boundaries as per the requirement. And whether it is from the outside influencers, or whether it is protecting yourself from other human beings, or protecting yourself from your own fallacies. You may go overboard in certain situations. Now, how do I stop doing that? I can become a very sympathetic person, and I may get overboard, get blown away by whatever is happening around me. How do I protect myself from that kind of influences? And you've always, talked about or spoken about those entities which are not visible, like the spiritual entities, and how do I put boundaries around it? And I'm still clueless, but I think you have a better idea about those. I can still talk about how to protect the money, or how not to, minimize payment of the taxes, or how to, navigate around this world so that your GST impact is minimized. Those boundaries I understand very well. These occult boundaries, or those, out of this world kind of spirits that you always talk about, I don't understand those. Maybe you can talk about that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, again, that's very, very subjective to each person. Depends a lot even on their evolutionary chart, where they are in their evolutionary, like the soul lessons, what is like their astrology chart like, right? What are their planetary placements? Because some planetary placements actually make a person more susceptible to being open to either the collective consciousness, which is what happens to me. Like every time the collective goes through something, I experience it even before.
So it happens with very selected people, like chosen ones?
Maybe, I don't know. I don't want to think chosen and all that. There's nothing special. But like, I can see why that happens, because I went, like Laura did the evolutionary astrology chart for me, and then I could see how like it was laid out from birth only, that it's supposed to be like this. How like there's also like this particular Black Moon, Black Lilith placement that kind of makes me more susceptible to darker feminine energies trying to come in and like break my reality, right? Like we experience that also. So there's a lot of, I mean, you might consider this very woo-woo to the person who's listening, but astrology, someone yesterday on my Twitter wrote that astrology is not a thing. Like, okay, you're not a thing. But they exist, these planets kind of exert influences on our life. So the occult is very, very individualistic, very subjective, depends on like the soul's journey, past life, karma, what they're carrying, what kind of contracts they've had with which kind of entities, what practices they might have done in this life. All of these manifestation rituals that people do, full moon, new moon things, they are like open portals for entities to come and interfere. Now Halloween is coming up, so every Halloween, like the veil becomes thinner between the human world and the unseen world. And the West, I mean, again, influenced by the Illuminati itself, Halloween started becoming something that people were celebrating, allowing like demon portrayals and demonic masks. And
I know, it's so crazy.
You're not supposed to do that. Like you're doing that, you're basically subconsciously indicating consent for these entities to actually come and like take over a little bit of your consciousness, right? And now that's coming into India, so it's the time of the year when the veil is really thin and weird stuff happens that time. So talking about occult boundaries, really I would have to work with, like, I don't have enough tools right now to tell people do this, do that, like, you have to understand your own self better to understand how these boundaries can be put in different aspects, because for some people the invasion happens in dreams. For some people the invasion happens during like their meditative practices, right? Like the boundaries kind of, when I say invasion, the boundaries collapse then. But otherwise, to me, I use boundaries to kind of, again, navigate around relationships, because I've realized like every aspect of my existence gets reflected through the relationships I have. Even work, whatever impact we are making is through the relationships that we are building, right? And my boundaries are around my time. I keep having to reinforce those boundaries. Like I recently said, like I'm not doing more than one consult a day. I have to put boundaries around my time because I feel depleted otherwise. If I start just giving away my time for others, and if I don't get enough time for myself, like going inwards, which is super important for me, I start feeling depleted. Same with money, right? Like I have to put, because I'm like, see, money comes to me because I'm just so connected with like all the abundance that there is. But also I don't hoard everything and keep it. I just let the flow go on. But I've realized like there are times in the past, like when I was normie, I would not even think so much about myself, that I need basic money for my monthly, like whatever, rent and food and travel and everything, right? I would just give, and then I'd be left with nothing for myself. So I started putting boundaries around money. Time and money are two things which I've put like extreme boundaries around, and through time ka boundary, also the kind of relationship, who is getting how much time of mine, right? Whom do I spend most time with, which is right now only you. But otherwise, it's either with me or with the team or with you. That's where my time gets allocated, and with the clients. But so those boundaries, what they ensure is I don't feel depleted, right? For me, my boundaries ensure that I feel very, very full, and then I can give. If that one boundary gets breached and there's a leakage that starts happening from there, then I start feeling drained.
So these are all interrelated things. You put boundaries to protect yourself, and then for understanding that everything is important.
And then for different people, I have different layers of boundaries also. For example, with my dad, I have a different boundary, which might be like, it's not just that family is one boundary, right? With my dad, I have a different one. With my sister, I have a different one. With my uncle and cousin,
it is based on the relationship.
Person dependent. So every boundary, so I have a basic thing of what I need, what I want. Beyond that, then different people get different boundaries. So
we'll understand more about these boundaries. This is very important and interesting topic, because a lot of people.
This is where most of our clients struggle, right? Most of our clients have like the biggest
challenge with many of us, and it is a cause for many of our illnesses, even the physical illnesses, that we have seen that you're not able to put boundaries, and that creates a lot of dissonance or disharmony inside your system, various systems which are running inside you, and it can create lots of diseases which can be fatal. So understanding boundaries is going to be a very interesting topic. We will cover more of it in
and people struggle so much with guilt and shame when it comes to boundaries, right? I mean, we'll talk of our own personal experiences also, how.
Not that we learned everything. We didn't learn everything in one day. Okay, now I'm born, I know how to put my boundaries. In fact, as a kid, we had better boundaries than what we have now.
Because we just throw a tantrum when a boundary was violated, right? And no one would even mind. As adults, when you say that no, don't cross this particular Lakshman Rekha, full natak, Ramayana happens.
Yes.
Ravan has to be burned. Anyway.
So we'll talk about boundaries, but moving forward, the fourth key that we want to talk about today is knowing yourself more.
Self-knowledge,
self-knowledge, understanding yourself more. What are you made of? In some past podcasts, we have made references about you being not only the physical being, but there are other energy beings which are part of you, part of your identity. And we have been obsessed with this physical being and not taken care of those other three beings, emotions, your mind and your spirituality, or your spirit self itself. So understanding that self, what are you made of, what are your boundaries, what are your core values, what your purpose on this planet, is all covers the fundamental understanding of yourself. It's about all knowing about yourself, and what this gives you is an idea about what are you going to do ultimately. You come here, you were given a purpose which you have forgotten completely. Now you want to go inwards and find out, talk to your consciousness and find out what exactly is your purpose. So getting to know yourself more, getting to know yourself better, getting to know yourself in a correct way without any outside influence is what self-knowledge is all about. And the journey can be different for different people. Like some people just sit under a tree and they get that knowledge about themselves. This is what they are supposed to do, and they found a religion, and the people make cult out of it, and Gautam Buddha becomes, irrelevant with his teaching also. So there are different ways in which you can understand yourself. There are ways in which you can know more about yourself. But at very practical level or at very physical level in this 3D world, if you want to navigate, understanding yourself, at least for your own benefit, understanding yourself for your own sake is very important, because that is what will give you that direction that how do you want to go about living this life or leading this life. What you have always been obsessed with knowledge, knowing about or Janna, I want to know more and more and more. And sometimes I used to wonder, why do you want to know more? Okay, it's enough. These are enough keys that we have. We can navigate. We know how to make money. We know how to cook food. We know how to make relationship. We know how to travel or talk to people. We know how to motivate. I mean, there are so many things that we know. What is there? What is more to know?
You up level every time you know more, and if you don't, then you'll just stagnate, and stagnation leads to death and decay, right? So that's why you have to know more.
So death is linked to not knowing more, or
no, I like your consciousness evolves through knowledge, right? Knowledge is what, like, I mean, we're going to talk about evil next, is one of the keys, right? But this is so deeply linked to that, because knowledge is what really creates enlightenment. Knowledge lights you up. So when we speak about self-knowledge, we also have to understand, one is like your purpose and who you are, what are you here to, and we've spoken about purpose in the last, before this, I think, episode 10 or so, we spoke about purpose quite in depth. But to me, self-knowledge is also beyond that purpose. Purpose is like what you're giving yourself for this one lifetime that you have. Self-knowledge is not just about this one lifetime, it's about your entire existence itself, right? Like your creation, your unique signature, like what separated you from source. What makes you separate, right? Otherwise, you'd just be one with everything and all that is, right? You'd just be unified. But you're not, you're a separate being. So then who are you as a separate being, right? What is it that makes you you? What aspects of you do you still not know? What aspects of you are unknown? And how can that unknown actually impact the known aspects of yourself? How can that unknown impact the other people in your life? Because if it's unknown to you, you don't even know how you're unconsciously behaving in ways that could cause hurt to the people you really care about. In ways that could cause hurt to everything that you care about, your work, your career, the money you make, the time that you spend doing things that you really like. These are the things you're doing with conscious awareness, because you know this is whom I love, this is how I make money, this is my job, this is how I know to do my job. What about all the things that you don't know about yourself? And that, it's like literally like that iceberg that they show, the tip of the iceberg.
10%
the tip of the iceberg is really what you know about yourself. There is so much that you don't know about yourself that is hidden from you. The only thing that lights up, like, you can make that iceberg float. That iceberg can float and then like just completely melt into the sea that it separated itself from. That's a beautiful analogy. I should make something out of it. Like a meme. I don't know where it came from, but like it really feels like that sometimes you are in the vast sea of everything, of source, universe, God, but you're there like one lump of ice separated from it all, right? And the more you actually light up and you go upwards and upwards, as you go towards light and towards heat, you will start melting from the top and you'll start unifying and you'll just start merging more and more, right? So that's why knowledge is important. That's why self-knowledge is important. So that the iceberg is asking, okay, who am I? Like, why am I so heavy? Why am I sinking low, right? Why can't I just become more light, and why can't I rise? So the more you learn, the more you rise up. And who wouldn't want that, right? Like, I mean, there are people who don't want that, and those are the people I dissociated with a long time ago. But now the people I'm with, right, is everyone really wants that kind of growth, that going upwards, that enlightenment, that enlightenment is not becoming Gautam Buddha and sitting under a tree. Enlightenment is you shining light on every aspect of, whether it is physical. For example, something simple as these advanced tests that I did for myself, the Cyrex and the GI map and the DNA test, they have thrown so much light over why I gained 10 kgs in 5 months. Otherwise, it was a mystery, and then I would have felt like I was beating myself up. I thought I'm eating the wrong kind of food. I was very confused about what to eat. Keto wasn't working. Intermittent fasting wasn't working. Hormones weren't working. Nothing wasn't like. So there was chaos, and there was like that ignorance was not creating growth. Versus what I learned with new knowledge about my own body, and how that new knowledge is now creating growth both emotionally and in terms of what we can offer to clients, right? So every time you learn, it creates growth, and that growth is something that everyone benefits from, right? Like everyone, like if a tree grows, the amount of shade it can offer just starts becoming more and more and more, and then there's an entire ecosystem that can be on that tree, from birds to mongoose at the bottom of the tree to squirrels to so much can just exist and coexist because this tree decided to grow, right? So that is what really self-knowledge is about. It's about growth. And that kind of self-knowledge, right? This is not intellectual knowledge. This is like going inwards, trying to learn about yourself. Will start showing you aspects of yourself that you might not even want to see, right? Like the evil that we'll talk of. Like, why is it important to know about that?
I think we should migrate.
Yeah. But like, what has knowledge, self-knowledge, what has that signified for you? I mean, I can talk about self-knowledge for 8 hours, like Mark Passio did about natural law. What does self-knowledge signify for you?
So, I have always hidden my wishes, my desire, my wants, my needs, and it has always been as a second priority for most of my life. Suddenly, I have rediscovered and I have learned more about myself as I started going inwards. Then those true desire, true wants, true needs comes out, and even though it is coming out now, last few
it makes me so happy when you do that, when you do stuff for yourself or your house, right? I feel really, really happy when you do things for yourself.
That is what I was talking about, knowing more about myself. But sometimes, all these things sound so fleeting. Even the body itself, like it's there and it's not there. Like yesterday you shared one Instagram story with me, like we are a celestial being,
and this is like a blip
of
tiny
experience on this planet with all kinds of emotions like sadness, despair, euphoria, and everything. And why we are making so much about that blip itself, like we are making so much noise, so much everything about that blip of a moment, and we have forgotten that entire universe or entire eternity that we have been in existence. And knowing and connecting with that infinite being is what the self-knowledge is all about. I don't want to know myself more to navigate this planet more effectively, but I would like to know myself more from that point of view.
From the connectedness.
From the infinite point of view. Okay, where do I go from here? Or what do I do? Or what was I doing before this blip happened and I'm still experiencing that blip? People make, this is like the entire lifetime seems like a big ordeal, and it is so difficult to navigate or so difficult to get rid of this blip. But I find it's just understanding that it's a blip will
give you a lot of calmness,
so much of freedom, so much of so many things that you can be not bothered about.
But also you can't bypass this lifetime you have, right? You can't just say this is a blip and I'll just wait for the end of this life.
I'm just looking at it as a finite version of me, which is going to end anyway.
But you also are supposed to embrace this finite experience.
This is the only, this is one of the ways in which I can understand my infinite being better. So that is the only thing that I can find out. By being physically active, physically present, and knowing more about myself, I'll be able to know more.
Absolutely.
In other forms, I am not sure whether I'll be able to know more about my infinite being. So that is what the self-knowledge is all about, and that is what I keep doing. And I don't know how, sometimes it sounds stupid, No?
No.
It sounds very intellectual. Okay. Whatever.
It sounds
So,
real.
yeah.
I don't care about intellectual or not, but it sounds real. So.
Yes. So self-knowledge is that for me, and I'll keep doing it in whatever small ways I can. In a small way, again, you understand relationship in a different way. Want to understand myself or my infinite being through the relationship that I have here, or I had, or I will be having here. So there are different kinds of ways in which I want to know more about me.
So that's what it's self-discovery, right? Like in
Original me. I don't know. Something is mistake here. So evil is.
You're pointing at me and saying evil.
You know,
what the hell?
You know more about evil. So yesterday you shared you met to listen to that particular clip from Nilesh. Recently you discovered this person, and it's very interesting. It's talking about divinity from a point of view of undivinity.
Yeah, divine and the undivine. He was talking about that.
Divine and the undivine, and that made me wonder through the day. Does one exist without other? We'll always have a darkness because there is a light, or there will be light.
So you want no light is light unless there is darkness to contrast it, right?
The contrast has to be there, or it will. If they both merge together, maybe everything will be grey. There won't be any light, or
it'll just be like a void.
It will be. It's very difficult to then navigate.
There's no contrast here. There's no differentiation.
I know. So evil has its own purpose to make us understand.
It offers a contrast to the good, right? The good that is in you.
But knowing evil is again very important thing from the point of view you know this is evil, or this is going to harm you. This is not.
So what is the nature of evil, Avinash?
So seriously.
And why did we put this as one of the keys for you to be able to navigate the world, right? Understanding the nature of evil, right? Like good versus evil, or light versus dark, or whatever, right? So that aspect, why is it important to know? Because it can be an obstacle in your life through yourself, like whatever is repressed inside you, or other people's darkness, their evil, their undivine aspects can get in the way of your flow of life, right? So you should be able to recognize it when you see it. You should be able to create good boundaries around it. So
I remember one show used to come, you know, some Japanese show which was
Takeshi's Castle.
Some voiceover was there by Javed Jaffrey, and there are lots of obstacles, and you're supposed to navigate and then reach.
Right.
If you're not able to navigate, or you land up into a danger, then they will take you away out of the game. So life is all about understanding those obstacles, understanding those dangers. So evil is one of those dangers. So other things are, pertaining to you, putting your boundaries. If you're not able to put your boundaries, you will.
And you need a boundary against evil also, basically.
This is something which other beings or other entities trying to encroach on your free flow of life. So understanding those entities, understanding those instances, understanding and knowing.
But not just other; it's also intrinsic inside you.
So we are also made of that, divine and undivine kind of things, yin and yang. So we are made of both the things. There is very 3D level thing. You find out what society rewards, and that behavior gets exemplified in the overall humanity. It's true for yourself. What you reward will get exemplified. That will come out of you. That will get projected.
Right.
So you reward evil behavior, evil will come out of it. You reward internally what you feed internally.
There's a ancient Hopi Indian story also, the two wolves in your mind, right? The wolf that you feed. So a grandfather's telling his grandson that, there are two wolves that are always there in the human mind. One is really evil and one is really good. And then the kid is like, okay, but which one is stronger? And the grandfather says the one that you feed the most. Right? So we all have potential for good and for evil. What really starts reflecting outwards is what we feed more, like what we give more energy to, but without spiritually bypassing the shadow material or the darkness that might be there inside. Because the more you repress that and push it without integrating it. Now, the problem with all of these stories is it kind of makes you believe you just don't pay attention to the dark wolf, the bad wolf, it will just go away. It doesn't. It sits there in your consciousness, growing like cancer, waiting for the opportunity to completely take you down. So the goal is to know and understand evil from the perspective of integrating it and making it like something that can become more wholesome instead of rejecting it outright, right? So going back to that, what we heard in Nilesh's podcast with Bernard, right? Like the divine and the undivine. What is your understanding of evil from that, Avinash?
So I think it's a necessary part of our being, our existence itself. But bringing it out or not is again your choice. I think it's totally up to you. How do you want to, project yourself, or whether you want to take it out and experiment or experience that aspect of your personality. As was being said, you're here to experience all kinds of emotions. So being evil is another kind of experiences that you might want to have on this planet. It sounds little scary, but that is
What does it do? What does being evil really do?
So it comes out like you see all those kind of inhuman experiences that people want to have, like the wars or the, even the criminal actions or murders or the rapes. These are all that guided by those evil persona inside you. And
basically harm, right?
Harming
life.
Harming something else or harming yourself itself is a evil.
So to me, evil is like anti-life. Yeah. Anything that is taking away life in whatever way, whether it's a small scratch or whether it's actually full-on murder. But true evil to me is anything that is anti-life, whether it's towards another human or whether it's towards yourself. If you're destroying life, that is what evil is. Because otherwise, if you look at consciousness and if you look at what we spoke of as growth, if you look at everything is designed for life, for the flow of life, for the flow of consciousness, for the flow of light to go through. And I'm not speaking of physical death, but like anti-life, right? Like just taking life away and just taking away consciousness. That to me is really evil. And it harms. Like, something is evil when it hurts and harms, right? I saw this really funny meme yesterday. It said, do the fuck whatever you want, just don't hurt another person. So I think that's what evil really does. It feeds on something else's life to sustain itself. Right? Whether you call it as a narcissistic person, whether you call it as a tyrant, whether you call this someone who was
yesterday you used one word, sirens.
Yes, where did I use that word?
I think I read it somewhere.
I was writing on Twitter about it, right? Whether it's a siren that's like, whether it's a vampirish entity that's feeding on life. Basically, you don't have life inside you and you're taking someone else's life away instead of like creating life for yourself and co-creating life with another person.
Yeah, what I understood these last few minutes, I have so little understanding of the devil. I can't even actually verbalize what exactly the thought is all about. It's all theory I am talking about. I am not talking my own experiences with evility or whatever, that evil sense.
Because I think to some degree, maybe you don't even want to acknowledge that there's a part of you that could cause harm. Because you look at yourself as someone who wants to create flow, who wants to have minimal entropy, who wants to like just give more.
Knowingly, yeah, definitely.
Knowingly, so you don't even want to acknowledge that there might be aspects of you that might be the opposite of that. Now, everything you want to be, there is an aspect of you that might be the opposite of that, right?
This is the takeaway from this podcast for me. I have to go back and look at my evil.
Yeah, it exists in all of us. I am hyper aware of my thoughts that seem to be tinged with a degree of what I would call as anti-life itself, right? And where does it come from? It comes from DNA. We all have DNA interferences, alien interferences have happened with our DNA. It comes from, because I'm so open to thought intrusions and all, sometimes it comes from like if my boundary, like physically if I'm sick, for example, right? Like my physical system is weak and there's a lot of vulnerability at that moment, there can be these thought intrusions that are truly evil in nature. But because I'm aware, I don't act on them. I examine them. The ones that I want to integrate, I actually integrate. The ones that I reject, like saying, okay, not even mine, like no possibility. So they go out. But it exists, and I think again, like a longer podcast where mostly I might be talking, or maybe you would have done some more discovery,
self-knowledge about evil part of me. I'm looking forward to it actually. So that is a
like
takeaway.
Avinash, the opposite will be Vinash.
Yeah, even my name has some evil component in it. So I don't know.
All right.
So maybe I'll find out. So yeah, thank you. I mean, we should stop here.
Yeah, we should. I think we've gone beyond an hour also today with all the things that we discussed.
No problem. But it was interesting. Like,
for you?
It was like, roller coaster kind of thing. But do keep watching us, keep giving us your feedback. You can like, share, comment, subscribe, and anything that you want us to talk about or ask any question, let us know, and we'll be happy to answer or happy to discuss in our podcast.
Yep.
So thank you guys watching us.
All right, bye bye until next week, and we'll see you soon.